What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay. Here to talk a little Packers Jaguars this evening as we are on the eve of this big matchup. I say big because every matchup in the NFL is big, in my opinion. Tim, how you doing this evening, sir?
Happy to be here, man. On the eve of the trap game that will not be a trap game.
There it is. Gotta make sure you don't overlook them. And listen, we know Matt LaFleur isn't overlooking anyone. The question is, the first thing, the heat, right? It's going to be a little bit warmer. Now, it's not going to be anything like it was. It's just funny to say it's not going to be anything like it was in Green Bay earlier this year.
Yeah, for the winter warning game. Yeah.
But, remember the game a few weeks back there where Josh Myers throws up on the ball and It was well into the 80s. So hopefully we'll stay out of the 80s for the most part of the game. But definitely going to get up to like 83, 85 by the time the day's over. So
I hope they bring like an extra oxygen tank, for the training staff, maybe a couple extra, IVs with some fluids. Just
Daddy soda.
Yeah. Get that daddy soda pump going,
Little cream ale flowing there.
Remember the old helmet with the 2 beer cans on the side and the straws, whatever you need, man.
Yeah, I wore one of those in my wedding, actually. I'm just joking. That did not happen. I'll tell you what would happen, though. When I go to get tickets this year, I'm going to Ticket King, Tim. That's the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. They have been Wisconsin-based since 1992. How ironic, Tim, that the year that Brett Favre showed up, Ticket King came about, right? Specializing in Packers tickets, they're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. You can click on the link in the video description that will conveniently send you to their website, theticketking.com. You can register for free as a customer and go ahead and start shopping around, looking at prices, and get your tickets squared away to an upcoming Packers game. So, again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. We appreciate them always supporting the show. All right, so let's talk a little Jacksonville Jaguars here, Tim. Before we do, little bit of news hit the wire earlier. Paul Brettel tweeted the Green Bay Packers, who said Robert Rochelle has been elevated ahead of the Green Bay versus Jacksonville game. And Paul Brettel had put in that quote tweet, Robert Rochelle elevated with Ballantyne doubtful. So I think all this is here, Corey Ballantyne's probably not going to go. We've seen the injury report earlier today, and if I remember correctly, yeah, he did not participate. He's the only one listed on the injury report as doubtful, which you guys know is a 75% chance they will not play, essentially. Yep. So no huge news here, but just wanted to point out that Robert Rochelle has been elevated, so definitely no Ballantyne tomorrow.
So get ready for a lot of Keyshawn on the boundary and all over the place, right? I don't anticipate seeing Robert Rochelle, lining up in the slot or anything. So it kind of affects us. It's big news in the sense of, how is the secondary going to look? But, yeah, this is kind of just par for the course, right?
Yeah, I think if Robert Rochelle comes into the game, I don't want to say you're in trouble. It means a couple of different things went wrong injury-wise, right, during the game.
Yeah, or it's just an absolute boat race, right? We're up like 35-0, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Definitely could be. I think that the plan will be, like you said, when you're facing 12 personnel, which, if I remember correctly, Jacksonville runs 20% of the time. So we should be in our base roughly 20% of the time, probably somewhere between 15 and 25% of the snaps. You'll be in base. So the rest of the time, the large majority of the day, you're going to be in your nickel set, right? So I would imagine how that'll look will be when you're in your base defense, your base 4-3, it'll be Keyshawn and Jair on the outside. When you go to your nickel, you'll have Javon Bullard in the slot, Keyshawn on the outside, Jair on the outside, obviously Evan Williams at safety, Xavier McKinney at sasafety. So if for some reason one of those 3 corners gets hurt or one of those 2 corners in our hybrid safety and Javon Bullard gets hurt, what'll probably happen is you bring Stokes in to the outside and you kick Keyshawn into the slot. I would imagine that would be kind of the game plan. Don't you think there before you would see Robert Rochelle or one of those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I would think Robert Rochelle will be your special teamer, most of the afternoon. And, he may get a snap or 2 on defense, depending, like you said. But I feel like the formula is, like you talked about, man. We're going to have a lot of Key, a lot of Jair, mixing things up with our safeties and some Javon Bullard in the slot for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We got Mr. Goat in the house. Said, hey, happy Saturday night football, fam. Happy Saturday Night Football to you, sir. We got college football on galore right now, Tim. First of all, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish took care of the Navy midshipmen earlier today.
As they should.
I tell you, man, they were undefeated, right? 6-0, ranked, 24th in the country, 25th in the country, somewhere around there. Notre Dame just beat the brakes off of them, man. And I never want to root heavy against any kind of military academy,
right.
But had to side with my Irish there. And then right now we got Kentucky and Auburn just kicked off. Wildcats are leading 3-0. LSU and Texas A&M seems to be kind of the game of the week. They're down there at Texas A&M. LSU's winning 3-0 right now. And then, of course, Wisconsin's actually beating number 3 Penn State 3-0 at the moment. 2:54 left in the first quarter. So let's go, Wisconsin. Let's pull off that upset. That would be absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So, love that college football, man. It's been good this year, no doubt about it. Let's see what else we got in the chat here. Reef says, "Guy, don't mind Reed splitting the punt return duties and Bo splitting the kick return duties." Yeah, it's for me, it's one of those things. We kind of talked about it earlier. We won't spend a whole lot of time on it, but I kind of just want Keyshawn doing both right now. I think Bo Melton's got the speed, the athleticism to be dynamic in one of those spots. We have no reason to believe that he's I don't want to say good, a serviceable even punt returner. It's one thing to say, hey, he's fast, he's quick, he's agile, he's got great change of direction, fluid motion. It's another thing to stare up in the air and wait to catch that ball while you got 11 grown-ass men bearing down on you, right? Like that's a different kind of cat. I just want Keyshawn doing it for ball security purposes right now. And, of course, that doesn't mean he's perfect. He's got stuff he's got to work on. Obviously, you've seen the mishap last week with the punt return. So, yeah, but as far as Bo, though, I think Bo would be better fit on a kickoff return because yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right now, I mean, Tim, is there anyone else on this team that you can truly say, I trust them returning punts other than Keyshawn Nixon? Because I'm having a hard time finding that guy. Right
now. I'm there with you. And you summarize my whole logic for Bo, returning punts is he's got wheels, he's got good change of direction, he's got good downfield vision. But we're neglecting the important part. Can you catch a punt and not fumble it? So, yeah, I mean, we talked about the Amari Rodgers factor, like any one of these guys could easily be in that same situation. We talked about Jaden Reed kind of being in that situation where, when it comes to returning punts, it's a little dicey, but man, when you're on the field in the slot or on the boundary, hey, we feel great about it. So I think, when it comes down to it, I'm with you. I think he should be returning kicks and punts and playing on the boundary and playing in the slot and selling hot dogs and working the tailgate and bringing the water in, whatever it is. Have him do it all.
Definitely. Let's see. Zacchaeus in the chat says, I know Evan Williams has turned into a stud, but how is Javon Bullard doing? Haven't heard anything good or bad about him in a few weeks. Really what it comes down to with Bullard, when you look at his PFF grades and really when you turn on the tape, he's a stud at stopping the run. The way he attacks the football, I mean, he is really good. I would venture to say that he's just as good as Evan Williams at that. His problem is coverage right now. He's kind of struggled to pick up the coverage aspect of pro football. So we'll see. I think he'll only get better, and I think it's cool that he's getting those slot snaps. And if for some reason Evan Williams needs a break, obviously he's going to go safety opposite Xavier McKinney. So the way I'm looking at Bullard, at least what we've seen right now, hey, he's getting some much-needed experience, but Evan Williams, hands down, has been a better football player than him this year. Granted, it's still early, but how do you feel about that right there, Tim?
I would agree. I think if you look at these two rookies just head-to-head, like clearly Evan Williams is up to the task and is playing like a veteran. Let's be honest. He's playing like a veteran as a rookie. Javon Bullard has an extremely high ceiling, very talented, but he's taking time to progress, which is normal for a lot of rookie players in this league. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to look back and both of these dudes are going to be studs for us. But I just think Evan Williams is probably ahead of the curve right now.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Let's see. We had a couple things come across the wire earlier today. And I'm going to reiterate the Jaden Reed. Let's start with the Jaden Reed thing, first of all. We hit this, I think it was yesterday. PFF Green Bay Packers tweeted out, Jaden Reed can win from the slot versus the Jaguars. Reed's 377 receiving yards from the slot ranks second among all players this season. He should continue to produce against a Jacksonville defense that ranks 29th in yards allowed to slot receivers. Now, let's peel the onion back another layer here. PFF Green Bay Packers tweeted out, Romeo Doubs should be featured outside against the Jaguars defense. Doubs has recorded 282 receiving yards when lined up outside this season. Keep in mind, outside, guys, that means X or Z, right? Ranking 15th among wide receivers. The Jaguars defense ranks 32nd in yards allowed to outside receivers, presenting favorable opportunities for Doubs. So, again, when it comes to slot receivers, they're 29th at stopping that, Tim. And when it comes to outside receivers, they're dead last in the league. That's just a wild statistic there, man. So, Dobby and Jaden Reed, man, one of those two are going to blow up. So,
so much for leaning on the run, like I was suggesting. I think we're going to probably air it out tomorrow.
But Tim, like when you get this late in the season, though, sometimes these teams, they recognize, hey, here's where we're really struggling, so they won't commit as many to the box and play a little more in coverage. That might trigger the run, right?
That's a good point. They got so much film right now, right? You got 7-8 weeks of tape on yourself. That's a good point, Clayton.
Yeah, that's what's so beautiful about the National Football League is like every single week, these coaching staffs, they're seeing the same information we are, right? And they're going through, okay, well, we've got to button this up. If you've got to allocate more resources to stopping that pass or stopping that run, it should open up things for the other team. And it's why we were talking about like the game planning aspect. That first quarter is all about gathering information, right? You've basically did your due diligence scouting this team for probably a 6-game saturation, 2 head-to-head, last 4 of that team's games. And then, okay, here's how we're going to attack them. And then you come out with your openers and you see how they react to that plan. And then if they adjust that plan, you've got to adjust on the fly. That first quarter is all about gathering intel and adjusting your game plan. The second quarter is all about keeping that momentum, winning the middle 8 into the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter is that standalone game. Scratch everything off. Okay, what happened throughout this game? Here's the fourth quarter game plan.
Yep.
And again, that's how Belichick and his staff has always looked at it. I think got plenty of pelts on the wall there to say that's probably a pretty darn good way to approach it for sure. All right, so again, the big thing that's sticking out here as we move a little closer to game day, closer to kickoff, is their passing defense really, really bad, man. This might be that game that Jordan Love has an opportunity to absolutely blow up, right, and have one of those games where he throws for 310 yards and 4 touchdowns. That would be nice, just to kind of create a little more momentum moving forward. All I care about is that dub, though, man. I ain't gonna lie. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about O-line play in this game being a crucial factor, right? We keep J Money clean. Him and the boys are going to eat tomorrow, for all intents and purposes. If we start false starting and, holding penalties and moving backwards and pockets collapsing, we're going to have a problem maybe potentially with this Jaguars team. Could be closer than we'd like it to be. But I'm with you, man. Put Bird in the slot, put Bird in motion, split Rome out wide, let them guys cook. And while the Jaguar secondary tries to figure out, what the hell to do with those two guys, Christian Watson will be running, butt naked through the trailer park, catching bombs. So I'm all for it, man. But everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? As has been said before. So you never know what happens once kickoff happens. So we'll see.
Yep. And all it takes is like a kickoff, opening kickoff, fumble the ball, turn the ball over. Now you're down by 7, and it's throw the game plan out the window. That's that punched in the mouth you're talking about, right?
Exactly. So, or that crazy gadget play on 1st and 10. You think you're easing into a game, and all of a sudden they hit you with the reverse, or they hit you with the a Hail Mary out of the gate or something. Kind of like we did to Detroit on Thanksgiving last year. The bomb to Christian Watson to start the game.
Yep.
That's the tone, man. So you always got to be ready to go from the moment you step on that field, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Dwayne in the chat said, "Where's Jacob the Beard? I haven't seen him in a minute." Jacob, we've said this several times, and I know everybody doesn't get to watch the show all the time. Jacob's working a lot. I talked to him the other day. He's good. Everything's good. Good on his end. When he gets some freed up time, he's going to jump back on the show. As always, he knows he's welcome. So try not to put too much pressure on him. I definitely miss talking ball with my boys. So he'll be back soon enough. I promise you that. I've always said in the past too, like I told Tim, we all joke, I'm like, Jacob's that free spirit. Let me tell you, Jacob does what he wants to do, and he does it when he wants to do it. And he's like that old dog that, you don't see him for 3 months, and all of a sudden you come home from work one day and it's sitting on the front porch. You're like, hey, what's up, man?
And it's like he never left. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It's all good.
And so for people to completely understand too, like Tim was a listener of the show. Okay. Jacob was a listener of the show. Emilio, same thing. Emilio used to email me and text me all the time on our text line. So much like the McAfee show, all the guys that are with his crew on his show were people that kind of listened to the show, and Pat interviewed and brought them on board. So Jacob was just a listener. He has no obligation to do the show. He just he's always going to have the link and always welcome it here. So same thing with Tim and Emilio. So that's how it came about. It isn't something where we're like, hey, let's put out an application. Let's see who qualifies to do this. I'm like, hey, man, you reach out to me a lot, man. Why don't you hop on? Let's talk some ball. So that's how it came about. Let's get to the keys to the game according to NextG Stats, Tim. First one, it says Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams. The Packers' Evan Williams, 78.6%, which is second, and Xavier McKinney, 75.0%, which is fourth. Both ranked top 5 in coverage success rate among safeties with at least 50 coverage snaps. Xavier McKinney has a league-high 5 interceptions this season, and Evan Williams has the fourth highest tight window percentage, which is at 35.7% among safeties with at least 10 targets this season. Man, if I remember correctly, too, they really like to try to push the ball down the field. They being the Jaguars. Might not want to try it tomorrow because there's a couple ball hawks back there in that that
hopefully
segment.
They do. Hopefully they do try it.
Yes. That would be great. No doubt about it, man. I'm really excited to see how they attack, and I haven't had a chance to look at too much of their film. I went back and watched the Jaguars Patriots game in London, and they caught a lot of breaks, man. I think they had a punt. It was either a punt return or a kick return for a touchdown. Listen, the Patriots are not a good football team. It's kind of hard to look at that and take anything away from the tape, but maybe if we have time, we'll dig in and kind of look at some of the concepts they like to run on their explosive plays. But yeah, as far as them throwing the ball, though, they're probably going to want to be patient back there with Xavier McKinney in the backfield, and obviously Evan Williams. Whenever they do bring X into the box, they got to worry about Evan back there, who's just playing outside of his damn mind right now. It's insane. Next key to the game, Tank Bigsby. It says Tank Bigsby has recorded a league high. I'm going to say that again, a league high 5.3 yards after contact per carry, and fourth highest missed tackle force rate at 37.3% among running backs with at least 25 carries this season. Bigsby has been effective at getting extra yards as he has generated plus 2.4 rushing yards over expected per carry. That's third best in the league, and the sixth lowest rate of runs that generate 0 or fewer yards at 11.9%. If they're going to win this,
in other words, here's a guy.
Yeah,
that's the dude you're concerned about. Yeah.
Definitely got to figure out a way to slow down that running attack. And I'm telling you, the best way to do that is jump out to an early lead, right? That's how you neutralize that running game for sure. So Tank Bigsby, one to watch out for here in tomorrow's matchup against the Jaguars.
You guys got to make their tackles in the open field. First contact, you got to put him on the turf, because if they like to push the ball and they got a running back like this, you know what I'm thinking, right? They're gonna try to establish that run and run play action off of it. Try and do the same kind of thing, that we do. And I fully expect Trevor Lawrence to try and take shots down the field if Bigsby is running up the gut on us all day. So if we're good in the run fits and we're making tackles, we should be good. We should be able to stymie that game plan.
Yeah. Ron Sample says need to get a lead, take them out of their run game.
Yep.
Could not agree more, man, for sure. Next point here, according to NextG Stats, keys to the game. Jordan Love and the Jaguars defense. It says Jordan Love has recorded a 114.3 passer rating when not blitzed this season. That's third best in the league, compared to a 61.8 when blitzed. That's 30th in the league, having been blitzed at the third highest rate in the league at 38.7%. Love has recorded the most EPA, plus 38.4, and yards per attempt, 9.3, when not blitz. When blitz, Love has recorded minus 36.4 total EPA. That's 31st in the league, and 4.8 yards per attempt. That's 30th in the league. Love leads the league with 11 passing touchdowns when not blitzed this season, compared to just 4 when blitzed. matchup, the Jaguars have blitzed at the lowest rate in the league at 17.3%, with their season-high blitz rate 31.4% coming against the Bills in Week 3. So that's kind of the which came first, the chicken or the egg there, Tim. Are they going to continue down that path of not blitzing, or are they going to crank it back up like they did in Week 3 against the Buffalo Bills and fire 30% blitz rate? I don't think we'll have a problem beating their blitz package. That's just me personally. We got 2 good tackles. I think Jordan's seasoned enough to handle it. I think when I see those numbers about how bad he's been against the blitz, I don't look at it like, oh, no, he's playing horrible against the blitz. I look at it like this dude's due right now. So
yeah, and against good blitz packages too.
Right.
You're talking about some of these defenses that Jordan's faced. This isn't the Jags. The Jags have no secondary or a weak secondary. We talk about their pass defense. It probably explains why they don't blitz very often. Probably because they don't trust the secondary. That if they're sending 5 or more, what's going to happen on the back end. And we all know Jay Money will get that ball out quick. If the pressure comes, he has a tendency to pad it sometimes or try to extend the pocket or extend the play, but he will fire that check to Josh Jacobs, or he'll hit Reed on a crosser and get the ball out, and we will progressively move down the field. So, I don't know. If the Jags dial it up, let's see. I've got faith in our boys. We got Nacho Libre out there. We got Josh Myers with his wrist taped up. We got Zach Tom. We got Big E. I feel good. Rasheed Walker. I think the boys are going to play well against this Jags defense, and I don't think they're going to run anything super exotic if they do dial up a blitz. So I think we should be able to handle it.
Yeah, I agree, man. Again, just got to show up, got to play, but
Yep.
I'm not overly concerned about it for sure. Trevor Lawrence and the Packers defense. Trevor Lawrence has been efficient when using play action this season, recording the 7th most pass EPA per dropback at plus 0.29 and 7th highest success rate at 57.4%. Without play action, Lawrence has recorded negative 0.13 EPA per dropback, that's 22nd in the league, and a 39.1% success rate, which is 27th in the league. The matchup is the Packers defense has allowed the 8th highest success rate against play action this season at 50%. So we are a little bit vulnerable to play action pass. They run play action pass really well. Again, we go right back to the default answer. You want to keep them out of play action, jump out to that early lead, right? You reduce the effectiveness of that play action. If it's a close game, a 3-point game, play action is going to get those backers to bot all day long. That's one thing about Hafley's defense. They're playing very aggressive post snap. When it comes to running the football, they're really attacking the football. I think we're 9th in the league in run defense right now, according to yards per carry. So, play action is probably the way that Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars want to attack this Packers defense. Let's just make sure we keep them out of decent running situations so it's not as effective there.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. They go hand in hand, right? If they get the tank going there and we're not doing well against the run, it's gonna play to their favor, right? But if you want to run play action and naked boots off of no run game, go ahead. You'll make mistakes and we'll get you. So I think it's like you said, we got to jump on this team early and try and play from ahead, not from behind, and put them in a situation where they have to throw, and if they do dial up a play action here or there, we're not worried about the run because they're not in a position to run the football. They got to try and push that ball down the field because they're playing from behind. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Ron Samble in the chat says Love was awesome against the blitz last year. Something changed? Yeah, it's called an MCL sprain, I think, personally. Listen, he's fully healthy now, but still kind of getting back into the groove of things, right? I don't think the knee is hindering him at all, other than maybe just mentally a little bit. But you could see that first game, Tim, he was hobbling around and couldn't really drive through the pass. I'm sure he was worried about stepping too hard into the throw in case someone's coming at his legs there and might roll into a knee or what have you. I would say that's my best guess as to what may have changed from last year. What do you think, Tim? You got an opinion on that, man?
I think that, combined with the fact that maybe he's a little more confident in that arm, we've seen him pushing the envelope, right? Threading the needle. And I think maybe, when it comes to the blitz, maybe he's liable to just step up in the pocket and try and get that throw off as opposed to run out of there. I believe he can be a scrambler and a mobile quarterback when needed, but I think at the end of the day, if you asked him, he'd rather stand in that pocket and slice up a defense all day long. So, we'll see. But I'll tell you what, when he scrambled against the Texans, he looked good. And it made me finally feel like maybe he's a little bit more confident in the legs than he was maybe a couple of weeks ago. So I think there's some truth to what you're saying. Last year he was healthy for the most part, and had a little bit more confidence in that pocket. When you have mobility, even if you don't use it all the time, at least it's there, and you can wiggle out of there and extend a play. But if you have any doubt in your footing or your knee or your ankle or anything, I can see there might be a little bit of hesitancy, and that's why we saw a couple of picks or throwaways that weren't throwaways, and getting a little flustered in that pocket because you don't have the option to just get out of there. So I think it's true.
Ari Ironminer says Love is very aggressive, fun to watch. I'm telling you, man, I can't stop going back and watching the 1990s Packers footage. Like it's been so long since we've had a quarterback that's gonna take those risks on a consistent basis. And listen, that's why we've won so many games too, because Rodgers was so good at protecting the football, not turning the ball over. But at the same time, Tim, I can't help but get excited every time Love goes out, throws a pick, then comes back the very next drive and just marches down the field and scores, launches a bomb to Watson. It's like, what the hell? This is awesome. This is so much fun to watch, man. And
you got to feel like confident in your team, right? Because look at how the defense is playing. Like we're ball hawks. So I'm sure Jordan's thinking in the back of his head, like, go ahead and take the shots where you can. If you turn it over, Our D might get a 3 and out. Give me the ball right back. We go right down the field again. So it's like a cyclical confidence that you have. That's kind of like complementary football, right? In its essence, you got a defense that you're, rough and tough and you feel good about them. As QB1, you can go out there and, put a ball into double coverage or triple coverage down the seam to Jaden Reed and not worry about it if you happen to get a tip ball or get a pick or something, because RD has a tendency to go out there and create turnovers and get the ball back.
Yeah, definitely. Reef in the chat says Lawrence is a running quarterback. He has the ability to run. Trevor's choice is not to run. I remember, man, he was I think he was the top high school recruit in the entire country when he came out of high school. And the dude is a mobile quarterback. He's obviously got huge size. He's like 6'5" or something like that. Big arm. Listen, I'm not one of these people that said they shouldn't have given him that contract. I personally think with the right situation, Trevor Lawrence he's got the ability to be a top 10 quarterback in this league. And the reality is, if you think they're top 10, you got to pay them like they're top 3. That's just the way the quarterback market works, right? Yeah. I don't think anyone was saying Jordan Love should be the highest paid quarterback in the league. But we as fans all knew that was coming because he's definitely a top 10 QB, and he could be the best QB in the league. It's possible. But the market will drive that price up. Same thing happened with Trevor Lawrence. That's just my personal opinion. I seem to be in the minority with that opinion. I hear more and more people talk about Trevor Lawrence is overrated. I personally think he's a pretty solid quarterback. But I haven't watched a whole lot of his tape in the pros, but just based off of past knowledge, I think he's pretty solid. Donovan in the chat says, Love makes watching football even more fun. I was telling the kiddo how lucky he is to have another Favre for him to grow up with. LOL.
I love it.
Yeah, you see some of these fan bases, Tim, and they have not had a good quarterback. My gosh, man, since World War One. You know what I mean? It's like
shout out to the Bears and Sid Luckman.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And maybe they finally got their guy. It's trending up. I'm excited to see. I hope Jaden Daniels plays tomorrow. That would be the Bears' luck that Jaden Daniels misses that game and they go out and beat Washington and everybody's like, see, the Bears are legit. And Jaden Daniels not going to play. But anyway, Daryl in the chat says Jordan Love has that poise, feeling more confident and having to trust his teammates. That does show how much he's progressed. Completely agree. Yep. And it's like seems like every other game, Tim, he's hitting 8 different receivers, 9 different receivers, right? That's indicative of 2 things. He's got trust in his teammates, but he's got trust in the system too. Matt LaFleur's just over there playing chess all day long, man.
Yeah. And I think, we talk about how he got cheated out of his rookie season, basically. He didn't get a lot of reps. We had the COVID year and all that stuff. And, Jordan kind of backing up AR-12. I think now, he's just to the point now where he's more sure of himself, right? Like he just, you work on processing the game as a young quarterback, right? And then you get to this point, which I believe Jordan's at right now, where now you anticipate it. Now you expect it. You expect that guy to drop in coverage, or you expect this guy to sugar at the line, or you know how to can out of a run play and go to a pass, or vice versa. You start to get that sixth sense. The game kind of slows down for you a little bit. You know, a lot of quarterbacks that struggle by this time in their career, you know, year 4, year 5, they're already on the downswing. They're on their way out of the league. You know, they're on a practice squad somewhere, or they're backing somebody up maybe, and that's all you hear from them. And I think Jordan is the polar opposite. I think the game's slowing down for him, and he's settling into you know, himself as a quarterback as he approaches that veteran status here in the NFL.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, man. Reef says Trevor hasn't focused in yet. If we had him, oh man, see that's the eyes the lens I'm looking at it through. Reef is like, you know, people that say Trevor Lawrence is not a good quarterback. If Matt LaFleur had Trevor Lawrence in Green Bay, that son of a gun would be lighting it up right now. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yep.
And listen, I know Doug Peterson's a good quarterback coach and all, but it seems something's off with his system. You know, you see the throws and even the decisions that Jordan's made. Listen, he's made some bad decisions this year, right? I think we would all agree. Of course, some would say that was a bad decision, that throw to Tucker Kraft the other day in the end zone where he threw it right through the safety's hands, essentially. Bro, that is a blast to watch happen right there, man. You talk about coming up off your seat. But, yeah, I'm with you.
Especially to hear him say he wanted that ball flatter and he kind of missed. And it's like, wow, you missed and it still got there.
And it was perfect.
And it was perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I love that he put so much juice on it, too, because if that ball gets tipped, it's not getting picked, right?
Right. Exactly.
Rather than putting too much loft on it, then it getting tipped up in the air, that type of thing. Ron Samble with the chat here says, I kind of want Mariota to beat the Bears. Haha. That's another good point, too. If Marcus Mariota starts and he somehow beats the Bears, that would be awesome. It'd be way better than Jaden Daniels beating him.
You see Donovan in the chat. It would make it that much sweeter.
There you go.
If Washington beat him without Jaden even playing, I love it.
I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at it the wrong way. That's all it is there. So I like it, man. Let's see. Last one, and we'll get back to the NextG Stats. Philip H., appreciate y'all being active in the chat, man. This is awesome. Trevor Lawrence is a very good quarterback. He doesn't have all the tools he needs in coaching and up front, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a good point. Like, who's his top receiver?
Right.
We'll find out. Actually, I can tell you. I'll switch over to him right here. Top receiver, Brian Thomas, rookie, right? You got Christian Kirk, which I think we would all agree they overpaid for him. Evan Ingram's his top tight end, right? So we'll get to the player projections next. But, yeah, I think it's a good point, Philip. I do, man. All right, so let's talk about these for a second. These are the NextG Stats player projections, okay? So these are kind of the predictions for what these players are going to do. Jordan Love, passing yards, 257.9, passing touchdowns, 1.9, interceptions, 0.8, all right? So what that tells you is probably going to be somewhere, according to NextG Stats, the prediction is 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, probably be what you're looking at there from Jordan. Josh Jacobs, they're saying 69.1 rushing yards and a half a rushing touchdown. Also 2 catches for 17 yards is the projection there. Jaden Reed, 4.5 or 4.5 receptions, 56 yards, and it looks like 0.4 on the receiving touchdown projection. Romeo Dobbs, 4.1 receptions, 51.7 yards, which is kind of what we were looking at just a second ago, talking about how these two receivers specifically match up against the Jaguars defense. And then, of course, Tucker Kraft, 3.9 receptions, 40 yards, and 0.3 on the receiving touchdown projection. What do you think about those numbers there, Tim? I wish I could get it zoomed in a little bit better for you. I might be able to. Yeah, it's probably a little bit better there. What do you think about those numbers there, man? Anything you disagree with? I could see Jordan a couple touchdowns and an interception. I hope he doesn't have an interception. Don't get me wrong, but I can see how they came up with that.
Yeah, I get it. That's based on, recent experience, right? Kind of working. And I like how it's 0.8, so it's not quite at 1. Right. But and we talk about the Jaguars, their lack of pass defense, not lack of pass defense, but maybe less than stellar pass defense. So I think this is a great opportunity for Jay Money to have a clean game. I really do. And when you think about the weapons that we have, I firmly believe he can slice and dice that secondary. The key is going to be our O-line, keeping that pocket clean for him. And if he is pressured, how he deals with the pressure. But I think that's fair. And you look at Jacobs and Reed in Rome, these are pretty fair predictions, or not predictions, but projections. But we'll see, right? The game's not played on paper; it's played on the field, right? We'll see what happens tomorrow. But I don't see anything here that's cause for alarm or anything.
I agree. Let's switch over to the Jaguars side here now. Trevor Lawrence, 222.5 yards passing, 1.4 passing touchdowns, the same as Jordan Love, 0.8 in receptions. Rushing yards, Travis Etienne, 37.2. I wonder why they don't have Tank Dell there.
Yeah, that's what's interesting.
That's really interesting that they don't even have him listed.
He wasn't on the injury report, right?
I don't remember seeing it. Or Tank Bigsby. I'm sorry, not Tank Dell. That's really odd, right? That they don't have him listed in the projections. Maybe we'll dig into it here in a minute. We get to the PFF preview, it'll show the injury report. Maybe we'll see. Travis Etienne, 37.2 rushing yards, 0.3 on the rushing touchdown projection. Brian Thomas, 4.5 receptions, 64.8 receiving yards, only 0.4 on the receiving touchdown. Christian Kirk, 3.5 receptions, 43.7 on receiving yards. Evan Ingram, 4.8 receptions, 46.4 receiving yards. Tim, if there's a player in this passing game that concerns me a little bit, it's Evan Ingram, because we struggle to cover those tight ends, right?
I agree. I mean, and you look at Kirk and Ingram, you talk about guys that are, marquee players in this league, maybe a little bit past their primes, but certainly threats in any offense. But I'm with you. When I look at these names, it's Evan Ingram. That's the concern I have. So, hopefully our boys are, the piss is hot tomorrow. We'll just put it that way.
Got to have the piss hot, no doubt about it, man. All right, let's see. We won't hit the performance trends. We got a bunch of key advantages here we can hit on real quick. And basically the first pass through here, this is the Packers offense against the Jaguars defense. Passing versus no blitz, Packers are number 1 in the league. Jaguars defense is 32nd. Overall passing efficiency, Packers offense is not. Jaguars defense is 32nd. Long passing, Packers offense is 5th. Jaguars defense is 31st. Passing versus pressure, Packers offense is 12th. Jaguars defense 32nd. Passing versus play action, Packers offense is not. Jaguars defense is 30th. Tim, I don't think we'll see this the rest of the year, man. You got a 5-star advantage in the key advantages as far as the Packers offense and the passing game here, man. That's this is starting to get to the point where it's like you might want to take Green Bay -4 and say they're probably going to beat them by more than 4. If these analytics prove to be true, right? I mean, that's a hell of a tilted field right there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm a head coach, it's all the more reason for me to run the football all day because you think I'm going to throw it all day. I'm going to try and run the ball, but hey, we'll see what happens. It is cool to see this though, right? I mean, the Jags are basically, at the bottom or near the bottom in every category. And we're basically top 10 or teetering around top 10 in every category. So if there's any truth to the analytics, like you said, which I believe there is some validity to these breakdowns. I think we should boat race them. Really, we should. But I said trap game before. I hate to say it again. We have to address the elephant in the room. We got to show up. It's one thing to see all this on paper and talk about the matchups, talk about the analytics, but if our guys don't come to play, if the piss is not hot, if it's lukewarm, we could get caught with our pants down and end up taking an L. So I don't know, man, but this does look good. 5-star advantage for the Packers. So, I mean, realistically, I don't know, 47-10 or something, this game should be, right? But I don't want to do score predictions, but I'm just saying,
I hate talking about games like this because like you said, when you look up tomorrow and we lose by 15 and it's like, of course we did, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Everything just seems to really be pointing in the Packers' favor. Hitting on the Jaguars offense against the Packers defense, passing versus no play action. Jaguars are 23rd. The Packers defense is 4th. Intermediate passing, the Jaguars offense is 32nd. The Packers defense is 16th. Rushing in the red zone, Jaguars offense is 22nd. The Packers rushing Red zone defense is 6th best in the league. Passing versus pressure, the Jaguars are 19th, the Packers defense 4th. And then long passing, the Jaguars offense is 23rd, Packers defense is 5th. So we just talked about Packers offense versus the Jaguars defense according to NextG Stats. 5-star advantage across the board. Here, when it comes to the Jaguars offense against the Packers defense, 4-star advantage all the way across the board in favor of the Packers. So really interesting there. Passing, we won't read them all, but basically Packers offense against the Jaguars defense out of what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like roughly 10 different categories. Everything's tilted to the Packers' favor other than passing versus the blitz, which they're saying is no advantage because the Jaguars defense is 28th. And then when you look at the Jaguars offense, specifically passing, it looks like Packers have the advantage for everything but 3 categories and 1 that's a push. So everything but 4 categories, one of those 4 is push, and it's a slight advantage for the Jaguars offense in that regard. Running the ball, Packers have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the 10 advantages go to the Packers, 2 go to the Jaguars, and 2 are a push. And the Jaguars offense running the ball against the Packers defense. Here's where you're seeing it tilted a little more in favor of the Jaguars, as they have 5 of those categories in their favor. 3 are in favor of the Packers, and 2 are a push. So that kind of goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about of trying to slow down their running game, or at least keep it in check. I think you're giving them too much respect saying you need to slow it down, but you got to keep them in check and make sure that you play from ahead, get them passing the football, and let's let this defense cook. So,
absolutely.
All right. That's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all. All right. So welcome back. Let's shift gears now, Tim. We hit on all that right there, right, with the pro preview. With the insights, I know we already hit on, I think, all of them. We definitely did. All right. So we're good there. So let's go ahead and change gears now and hop over to the PFF preview. I'm excited to see how this looks, get kind of a visualization of exactly how these two teams are stacking up. We'll go full screen to help everybody out. We've already kind of talked about the point spread. I do want to talk about where the money's at right now, though. So when it comes to the market, as far as the spread goes, the Packers are 4-point favorites. So Packers -4, 68% of the cash is on the Packers. 86% of the tickets are on the Packers. When it comes to the money line, which basically means the Packers winning outright, you've got 98% of the cash on the Packers, 94% of the tickets on the Packers. So the public is all over the Packers in this game. Some people go, that's great news. It can make you nervous sometimes too, because listen, Vegas, this, I don't want to speak any life into negativity here, Tim, but this was the Minnesota game the other night, right?
Yep.
It was like 90%, 85 to 90% of the public was on Minnesota, and you seen what happened, right? And all year long, the public has been dominating. At some point in the season, Vegas is going to start winning some of that back. Let's just hope it doesn't have to apply to this game here. Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, gotta be careful with that for sure. All right, is there anything else here? Okay, here's the injury stuff we were talking. Let's see if he's not on the injury report, Tim. That's strange that they didn't mention him in the matchups. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't deem it worthy. Who knows?
Maybe the numbers are, if he's RB2 over there, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's low attempts and that's why the numbers look good. I mean, I'm not trying to, downplay him or anything like that, but maybe it's running back by committee over there and it's a 1-2 punch and he's not getting the bulk of the carries. That's why the numbers stand out.
Let's go to the lineup preview here and kind of look at. All right, so here is Johnson. DeErnest Johnson is who they've got listed here at running back.
Wow.
Let's look at snaps here. So they've got DeErnest Johnson listed, and he's gotten 105. How many snaps here recently? So starting in week 2, right, 17 snaps, 12 snaps, 12 snaps, 13 snaps, and he jumped to, 35 snaps. And then last week he dropped back down to 21 snaps there. And that includes passing game and running game, right, of how they've got that listed there.
It's interesting. Most of his snaps come in the passing game. Did you see that on the chart?
let's do this, man. We'll come back to that. Don't let me forget we're going to do that preview. Actually, that's still up on the page, and I'm going to hop over here to another page real quick and try to grab these numbers. I want to see exactly who's carrying the ball the most, okay? So, let's go off the last game here. I know you guys can't see this, but I'm going to read it off to you here. So when it comes to attempts, Tank Bigsby, 26 attempts. DeAndre Johnson, 9. Brian Thomas Jr. had a couple, obviously playing the wide receiver position there. If we go to week 6, Tank Bigsby only had 7 attempts in week 6. DeAndre Johnson had 6, and Travis Etienne had 3. If you go to week 5, Tank Bigsby had 13 attempts and led the team there. So it's kind of weird how they're utilizing them there, man. You know?
I think it makes sense, though, if we know they're play action heavy and they like to push the ball down the field. So clearly the running backs aren't carrying the ball a lot. They're taking play fakes and chip blocking, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So his attempts, his being Tank Bigsby, starting in week 1, he didn't play in week 2. So this is 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. His attempts were 12, 2, 7, 13, 7, and 26 last week. So
that's something to keep an eye on, right? 26 attempts last week. Absolutely. They put a little emphasis on the run, so worth noting that. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so back to the PFF preview here. Let's go with their 11 personnel. Again, they're going to be in that according to the personnel data I've got my hands on. They're in 11 personnel 60.2% of the time. So this is what they're going to be in the majority of the time. That means we're going to be in our nickel set. Here's how everything grades out. Let's look at their offensive line first. From left to right, Robinson 69.4, Cleveland 70.8, Morse 63.6, Scherf 64.3, and then Harrison 57.6. That's their offensive lineman.
Who?
When you match, it gets me every damn time. When you match up our defensive line against their offensive line, Preston Smith 57.8, Carl Brooks 64.9, Kenny Clark 51.8, Rashawn Gary 67.3. Let's see is it going to allow you. Yeah, it'll let you see this. Okay, I want to look at Preston Smith's snaps here because that last game, yep, there it is. So his snaps went down significantly, man. So in the opener, right, Preston Smith had 54 snaps. Then week 2, it went down to what is that? 28. Am I thinking right? Yeah, 28 snaps there.
Yep.
And then week 3, it's back up a touch to 33 snaps. Week 4, it was 44 snaps. Week 5, it was 39 snaps. Week 6, it dropped to 30, and then last week it dropped to 28. So am I wrong looking at that? And it kind of looks like he's trending downward, Tim, when it comes to snaps.
It does, like incrementally in slow increments. It could also point to Hafley scheming up different game plans week by week and maybe, utilizing other personnel depending on who we're matched up against. But there's definitely a trend downward if you look at week 1 to where we are now, for sure.
Definitely. So just something to keep our eye on there. So that's how the offensive line matches up against our defensive line with their 11 personnel and our nickel. Now let's talk about the tight end for a minute. Listen, Evan Ingram, he is what is he graded? The 14th highest graded tight end this year at a 70.1. Been playing really, really solid.
Yep.
Obviously this is his best year was 2018 where he was a 76.3. Then he dropped 64.1, 60.6, 53.5. But then in 2022 he jumps to a 67.6. Okay. And then 2023, a 71.6. And then, of course, this year he's up to a 70.1. So having a pretty darn good season. You see his snap count is staying really, really steady. He's definitely tied in 1. So that's probably one of the players you really want to key in on that. And, of course, Brian Thomas Jr., man, this dude right here drafted in the first round at the 23rd pick, 79.6 receiving grade, 78.7 offensive grade. And you see his snap count's been pretty steady all year long. Someone to watch out for there. They got Christian Kirk lined up in the slot here according to PFF. So he's kind of that slot receiver. He's coming in at a 65.5 as it sits right now. And then, of course, on the outside in what we would probably refer to as the X, they've got Gabe Davis. I think they got him from Buffalo if I remember correctly. And he is playing like absolute cheeks this year. He's the 107th ranked wide receiver out of 126, according to PFF. So really, man, the two things you want to watch for here. Obviously, we talked about Tank in the backfield, which he's not listed here in 11 personnel. I wonder if we go to 12, if it shifts. It does. There you go.
Okay.
So, yeah. So Dearness Johnson, is that who it was? Yeah, Dearness Johnson that was in there in 11. Yeah, he is obviously their third down back. Now, It doesn't mean that Tank Bigsby is not going to play in 11 personnel, right? He's going to be in the game for 11 personnel too. It's just I think they're trying to signify that Dearness Johnson is their third down back on this passing down. So there he is, man. Tank Bigsby, 80.1 on the year, 10th highest graded running back, and you see the snap count just go through the roof last week. Got to keep an eye on him, Tim. That's probably the guy you want to stop. So when it comes to their offense, man, you're looking at Evan Ingram at tight end, Brian Thomas Jr. at wide receiver, and then, of course, our boy Tank Bigsby back there in the backfield.
Can you pull Bigsby up again real quick?
Yeah.
Let's just take a look. So what I see is a definite, an offensive threat, no doubt. But he's not a dynamic back. He is strictly a runner. So if they're in 12, if he's the running back and they got two tight ends, chances are they're going to run the ball.
Yep.
Or if they want us to believe they're going to run the ball. I don't see them throwing swing passes and screens and things to him.
I really don't either. And here's the other thing. If they come out in 11 personnel and Bigsby's in the game, probably trying to run out of 11, right?
Right.
So got to keep an eye on that.
Great point.
Yeah, his receiving grade, 41.7. That is for the cheeks, no doubt.
But his run grade is like super solid. Decent. Yeah, solid. 82.5. Yeah. So we got to account for that for sure.
Yeah, 6 foot 213, just a pretty well-rounded back there too.
Yep.
No doubt. All right, so as far as their wide receivers we just mentioned, let's get back into 11 personnel here. Obviously, we've got Jair Alexander is now up to a 72.8. He's the 20th ranked corner in the league now, so starting to really turn it up here of lately. Hopefully, Jair can keep on that trajectory. In the slot, you got Javon Bullard, safety, playing there in the slot. You see his slot cornerback snaps now is just about to pass up his free safety snaps. So in the slot, he's got 121 snaps this year. At free safety, he's got 153 currently. He's been in the box as a safety 72 snaps. So you're seeing that start to round out as he's getting more and more snaps. Now, here's where you could tell where Evan Williams took over, Tim. Week 6, you had Javon Bullard had 35 passing snaps and 19 rushing snaps, right? And then last week, he drops down to only 15 passing snaps, 13 running snaps. You could tell that's where Evan Williams, last week was the week that Evan Williams really took over as that starting safety. So let's hope he can get it together. People were asking in an earlier show, how is he grading out? This is what I was talking about. His coverage grade, man, he's really struggled in coverage, 46.6. But, man, that run defense grade, Tim, 78.6. He's a dog at tackling, stopping the run. Pursuit, no hesitation. When he decides to shoot his shot, he shoots his shot, man. He hits home with it too.
Yeah, and we need it in this run defense, because that has been a position of emphasis clearly for Hafley is getting the run fits figured out, and having a guy like Bullard gives you an advantage there. So if he's struggling a little bit in his coverage grade, that's okay. We got dogs back there. Let's use Javon downhill. Let him wrap up. We just talked about that, right? If they're going to run play action and they're going to try and run out of 11 or 12, we need bulldogs coming downhill and making stops. And not to say that Evan Williams isn't that guy too, because obviously he is. But if you got a DB that's struggling with the coverage grade, use them in these run situations for sure, because we could get lit up there. If they want to dink and dunk all day on us, that may be, if I'm looking at the Packers from a Jacksonville point of view, maybe that's the way to try and beat a team like us, RPOs, run the ball, play action. Maybe you don't try and stretch the field against the secondary. Maybe you just try to pound the rocks. So we'll see.
I think it's going to come down to what they decide to do with their game plan. If they're showing too high shell, I think you'll lean on the run and the short intermediate passing. If they come out and get aggressive and try to blitz Love, where it seems that the numbers are showing he's struggling against it, might have some shot plays. Braden Fielding says Travis Etienne, question mark. You guys can't see it on the screen. I pulled it up off screen. Here are his PFF grades this year starting in week 1. He's played in every week. 54.7, 74.8, 60.8, 69.5, 52.7, 51.5. His grade this year is a 63.5. Currently running grade 65.4. Fumble grade 53.7. So having some ball security issues there. I was interested in that too because he was solid, man. Travis Etienne, 2022, 76.7 his rookie year. 2023, 77. This year, struggling, but he's kind of due. But it sounds like that backfield, they like what they've got, and he's going to have a hard time breaking into that lineup, man. So
yeah, and I fully expect them to try and test our run D. So if they're gonna throw 1, 2, or 3 running backs out there, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And we can go at historical data all we want. ETN is a real dude. You have to account for a guy like that. They have multiple threats in that backfield, and I fully expect them to use that to try and soften up our secondary in the pass game.
Yeah. Carl K in the chat says PTA is a gold mine of competitive info. Appreciate that, man. I think that's a compliment. I appreciate that. We try to break things down, man. We try to break it down how the coaches look at things. And listen, I'm not saying that every coaching staff is combing through PFF. There are a bunch, although the PFF haters pretend like coaching staffs just despise this. There's been some that have been outspoken, but there's others that I promise you there's more than enough evidence to suggest that they are keeping an eye on that data too, because any data is good data, right? More data is better than less data. I should say it that way. But we try to look at it from a matchup standpoint here at PTA. We try to look at it like, all right, our nickel versus their 11, our base versus their 12. First of all, you got to figure out their tendencies in order to determine, all right, which formations, which personnel groupings are you really needing to key in on to get a good grab of a real preview. That's what we try to do here. People either love it or they hate it. You seem to like it, and that's great. Other people, they want to hear shock jock talk, and let's say something outlandish. Let's talk about how the Green Bay Packers organization is horrible because they're trying to cheat the great people of Green Bay out of something and make everything all damn dramatic. We're just here to talk ball. So
sit your butt outside.
That's exactly right, Coach. J. Cole in the chat. Don't be surprised if we see fake punts from the Jaguars tomorrow. Hey, no reason to not try everything, right, Jay? Their back's against the wall. Doug Peterson's seat is very, very hot. It's getting toasty over there. So I can see what you're saying there. It's kind of a wounded animal,
That's a great point. Doug Peterson, even in his Philly days, right? He's the one who dialed up the Philly special, right? I mean, come on now. We got to account for that. And it's not just special teams. It could be gadget plays on offense too. So we got to be on our toes tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Donovan Schilling in the chat. PTA is a football fam. Love and appreciate you, gents. Hey, we appreciate you, Donovan. Thank you so much, man. All right, linebacker. We talked about Evan Ingram a little bit. We talked about the running back. Let's talk about our linebackers. They've still got Walker and McDuffie listed as the starters here. Quay Walker being a 48.7. That's the 70th ranked linebacker in the league right now. And then Isaiah McDuffie coming in at a 52.3. He's ranked 65th in the league. I'm going to trigger a 4-3 base here. So they've got Cooper listed. Cooper is 36th in the league now at a 66.3. And obviously they don't have Eric Wilson listed because he's gotten fewer snaps. But Eric Wilson's grading out really, really well. Now you're going to make me want to go try to find him. I'm going to do it off screen real quick. I'll tell you what Eric Wilson's grade is.
Well, Eric Wilson for sure is
thick.
Wow. That dude is, my gosh, man, that guy is shredded. Like you could tell he takes it serious. There's no two ways about that.
Yep.
What the hell's going on? Oh, it's a rush. I was like, why don't he have a grade? You don't run the football clip. All right. So pulling it up here, Eric Wilson's weekly grades, 62.4, 99.4, 39.2, 41.1, 65.3, 68.7, 82.7. His PFF grade on the year right now, Eric Wilson, 85.1 defensive grade. His run defense grade is 66.5. Tackle grades a 55.5. Pass rush is an 83.8. Listen, that's blimping that grade up a touch, obviously. And coverage grade 68.2. Eric Wilson is now up to 130 total snaps, Tim. So you know how I feel about this, man. I think you stick with the hot hand, try to get him on the field. And again, we'll see if Quay actually plays tomorrow or not.
Yeah.
I definitely want Eric Wilson on the field before McDuffie. I feel like Quay's got so much upside. You got to kind of stick with him until he proves, all right, he's definitely not the dude. But Eric Wilson and Edgerrin Cooper, man, give me more of that.
Absolutely. That's why I toyed with the idea of, like, even if Quay is cleared, like you said, there's no gray area with concussion protocol. But my thought is if he's in pads and he's available, that doesn't mean he has to start. You know, like
Right.
you said, go with the hot hand here. And also it bodes well for Edgerrin Cooper too. If he's going to get more action, let's see what Cooper looks like, out there by himself, not by himself, but out there without Quay. Those guys have been attached at the hip since training camp. A lot of snaps together and, complementary football. Put them out there with McDuffie and, our boy Eric Wilson and see what Coop looks like. I think it's good for the team. This is a great game to tune up. We talk about this opponent. They may try to run the ball on us. They may try to air it out. Either way, great for your young linebackers to get some experience. So, we'll see what happens with Quay. Hopefully he's good to go, and if I'm with you, Clayton, like a guy like that, if he's available, he's got to get his reps. But, the way Eric Wilson's been playing football these last couple of weeks, man, I'd hate to go away from him right now.
Yeah. And you see Edgerrin Cooper's snap count. I mean, look at this. This guy, he's going to be playing the large majority of the snaps from here on out. I believe that, man. He's shown enough that they really like him. There may be occasions where they don't like him in a certain matchup. I doubt it, though. 6'3", 230. He's got that prototypical size. It's going to be your guy. And when you look at Quay, obviously his snap count has been steady all year long. They really like him. He's grading out pretty bad. There's no two ways about it. His coverage grade's a 43.9. Defensive grade overall, like we said, a 48.7. But hopefully Quay can get it together. 6'4", 241. God, he's a dog, dude.
Yep.
Just get him to put it together, man. All right, let's switch back now to our nickel set and talk the corners. We kind of skipped over Keyshawn Nixon. This is what we're talking about. In 2022, 61.2, 2023, 60.0, this year, 63.9. So he is having his best year since 2021, according to PFF. You see where he lines up. He is now officially lined up more outside than he has in the slot with 178 snaps out wide. And then in the slot, he's got 174. I'm excited to see what Keyshawn does moving forward, man. I think he's going to be a solid player. And again, for the money that we paid him, I think he's making on average something like $6 million per year. He's also the best kick returner in the game, and I know that's been somewhat neutralized with the new rules, but still, man, I think Keyshawn's doing a great job. He brings a sense of attitude too, and his run defense grade too, man.
Yeah,
at 69.4, and again, that was very, very valuable playing the slot, right? Not that it isn't valuable playing out wide too. But he could kind of fire off that edge if he reads run and be really aggressive. Well, that's what Javon Bullard does really well. So you're not really missing anything there by putting Bullard in the slot. And I'll come back to this if you need me to, Tim, but I just wanted to hit on this real quick because look at his run defense grade.
Yep, 78.6.
Yep. So I think you're kind of getting the best of both worlds there. And that's probably why they're putting Javon Bullard in the slot a little bit more is so he can help with that run,
I agree. Can you pull up Keyshawn? There you go. I think that's total proof in what you're saying here. Look at 19 and 20, his grades, and then obviously 2021, the big season for him. But like defensively, I remember 19, 20, even into 21, like issues tackling the ball carrier, and now we're not seeing that. I don't know. Do we have his tackle grade? Can we go down to his actual tackling grade? I don't know if that's. Snaps by possession.
They don't have it listed here, do they?
No.
I can pull it up on the other screen and tell you what it is. Give me just a second here. Let me hit it real quick.
I'm just saying, like even in the last 3 seasons, you've seen the overall defensive grade has stayed steady or improved. 61.2 in 2022, now 60.0 in 2023. Now he's at 63.9 this far into 2024. His pass rush grade is 94.9. I mean. Firing him off those nickel blitzes or, dialing up blitz packages for him, it's always a good look. And we're seeing him in the open field making plays. And we didn't see that a couple of years ago. And you combine that with the fact that, you know, Keyshawn has proved reliable on the boundary as well as the slot. Like you said, man, it gives Hafley more freedom with this other personnel and the talent we have, allowing other guys to see the field in different looks, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And here's the thing too, like he may not be grading out great. Obviously his coverage grade is a 57.6. But what you don't notice with Keyshawn is him blowing coverages. You know what I mean? He might get beat, right? Everybody gets beat from time to time, but you don't see him being overly aggressive in blowing a coverage, right?
Yep.
And
usually if he's beat by maybe a step. You know, a step or a half a step, and that's about it. You don't see him getting roasted.
Yeah. Were you asking about Keyshawn's tackle grade? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, tackle grade.
Yeah, so last year his tackle grade was 49.1. This year it's 65.1.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They're massive improvement right there.
Yeah. Run defense grade last year, 55.2. This year, 69.4.
I mean, yeah, this is what you want to see. And here's a guy, you know, for all the, you know, the talk of the fan base that likes to talk about guys disappearing when they get the contract, you cannot say that about Keyshawn Nixon. If anything, he got better when he got the bag. So shout out to K9.
Definitely. All right. Let's see here. In the chat, iRock says, good to see you, buddy. He says, Quay got this. Listen, I feel like more fans than not are rooting for Quay in that regard, right? There's some that are like, no, get him out of here. He's trash. You know, you've heard me talk about it over and over and over. I want the dude to pan out, man. He's got the physical tools of a freak. And then, of course, Reef says, split the snap, Quay and Wilson. I agree. That might be the best way to do it, right? Keep a fresh set of legs in there and kind of see, okay, what can happen. Again, you're going to be in 4-3 probably 20% of the snaps tomorrow if they stick to their average of 20. I think it was 20.1% of their snaps are in 12 personnel, which means we will have 3 linebackers on the field most likely. If that's the case, like I said, I want to see Quay, Cooper, and Wilson out there is who I want to see. That's just me personally. Now, if you're in nickel, it's probably going to be Quay and Cooper if Quay plays. But you know, if Quay is somewhat limited and they do want to split the snaps and you get Wilson out there half the snaps and Adrian Cooper the majority of them, obviously break a chin strap, break a shoelace, something like that, you're going to come out for a snap or two. But that's kind of what I'm looking to see for sure. So, all right, let's see here. What else we got? There's something else here in the chat. Yeah, Donovan Schilling, sick of these political ads. It's almost over, guys. It is almost over. We got how many more days? 5, 9, 10 or 11, at least the political ads will stop. And then what's going to happen then is whoever wins, the other side will be painting the other to be out evil. You know how this goes. This isn't our political election. A bunch of professional liars basically going back and forth is what we got. So, correct. Anyway, let's see here. She said,
Murph. What's up, Murph?
He says Schilling is chilling, top billing. My man.
I love it. Shout out Cheesehead Murph. He must be a old school hip hop head like me. Look, Donovan too. Look at I love it. Facts, Murph.
LOL. Love it.
Top billing. I like it. Taking it back right there.
I'm all about that Waylon Jennings. You know what I'm
saying? you're about the Waylon Jennings at the audio too? Okay. That's cool.
Bro, I wish we could go back and you all could have seen my playlist in high school. And when I say playlist, I'm old enough that I had a 5-disc CD changer in the old Stang. And I had the Tupac next to the AC/DC, next to the Waylon Jennings, next to the Kenny Chesney, man. We had everything covered in that. I promise you, man.
I love it.
We were all.
I miss those old CD players. Did you have the one that was in the trunk? You had the little cartridge.
Mine actually was in the middle console. Boy,
high class.
Oh, bro. Yeah, you can cruising down the road and pop that thing out of there. You know what I mean? Probably illegal today, but you know how it goes.
Love
back
it.
then. They let us get our knees skinned up a little bit back then, you know. Let's see, we got Bates in the house. Says, hey, everyone, late, but I made it. Had to pull an Irish exit at a Halloween party. Bates, listen, bub, we got to know, what did you dress up as? We got to know it, man. All right. Put it in the chat, Tim. Keep an eye out for it. I got to know what Bates was.
Hopefully it's like this guy. Maybe he dressed up like this guy.
Let's switch to the offensive side of the ball for both for the Packers against the Jaguars defense. So, offensively, offensive line here. Let me go and pop that down. Just keep an eye out for that that Halloween costume for me, Tim. Offensive line, Rasheed Walker, 62.5. Elton Jenkins, 62.6. Josh Myers, 53.2. Sean Ryan, 64.5. And Zach Tom, 85.0. Just an absolute stud. My man about to get paid. I hope he remembers us. We like them all along. You know what I'm saying?
Here's a guy that might take you shopping next year.
Not going to happen. Their defensive line against our offensive line, man. This Hines Allen here, I want to take a look at him and how many snaps he's gotten. So 345 snaps. Josh Hines Allen, 7th overall pick, right? Back in, 2019, I guess it was. Look at these PFF grades career-wise, Tim. Why have I never heard of this cat right here? It's from Kentucky. It's Josh Allen. I seen Hines Allen. It threw me off. This is Josh Allen from Kentucky. This dude was a stud at Kentucky, man. I mean, he was a damn dog. So I seen Hines and was like, who is this guy? 68.4, 69.6, 78.5, 84.7, 89.5, 85.6. Jaguars, if you decide to tank and you want to trade a couple players, send Josh Allen. Send them on over, man. Send them on over.
Heard Bates, it from a fan right here.
I'm so damn disappointed in Bates. Unfortunately, I didn't dress up. I know, shame on me. It was last minute invite by a neighbor. All right, Bates, we'll let you slide, man, just because you're that cool. If Bates were to dress up, Tim, what would his costume be?
Hopefully, like he dresses up like Arlie Ermy or something. That would be pretty cool. Maybe he just wears his Marine dress uniform or something. I don't know.
Yeah, just going there and shut the whole thing down. I can see him going Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. You know what I mean? The face paint, the sleeveless flak jacket or whatever it is. Just the whole 9 yards. Definitely. All right. So again, this is one of those Tuesday players you want to watch out for. He can wreck a game plan. Obviously, Josh Allen there, the not graded, I should say, edge defender in the entire National Football League. Defensive tackle, they got Hamilton at a 52.7, Armstead at a 65.8, and then Trayvon Walker, former first overall pick, at a 68.9 currently. Obviously, he's not really living up to that number one pick in the draft. It went, 58.0, 53.9, and this year 68.9. You are seeing some improvement. But again, the guy you want to watch for is Josh Allen off the left side. Sheed, I think, can handle him. Don't get me wrong. But if you're going to chip that side. Let Tom take care of Walker on his own over there, right? So
you're a mind reader. You see that, Ron Sanville? Allen is a speed rusher. Can Rasheed handle him?
There you
Asked
go.
and answered.
Yeah. The thing about Sheed, if I remember correctly, Mike Wall talked about his footwork was good. He's like, if you got good feet, you could play in this league. So the speed doesn't bother me as much as some of the inside power moves on Sheed. Sometimes that's where he gets grabby and holding, if I remember correctly. So, right. But again, Allen's the one to watch out for, no doubt about it. This defense doesn't look too bad, really, Tim, when you look at it. At linebacker, they've got, this is going to be tough.
Foyesade Olukun.
Don't you cuss on the show, Tim. You're going to get us canceled. Whoever the hell he is, man, former 6th-round pick, he's balling out. 10th highest-graded linebacker in the league at 81.1. Lining up in the box, 101 snaps. Been on the D-line, 11 snaps. Been kind of out wide at what they call slot corner, which you know what that means. He's kind of flexed out, trying to probably take away a quick hook zone. 27 snaps out of the year. So his snap count went down last week. I don't know if he got banged up or what, but I didn't even think about looking on the – let's go back to the summary real quick and see if he's on that. He is. There it is, questionable. So he's on the injury report as questionable with a leg injury. So Packers might luck up on that one. Who knows? All right, so let's see. Back to we got to reset it here. I apologize, guys. We'll go 11 and nickel again. So they've also got Devin Lloyd at linebacker, playing pretty solid, 73.3 this year, 19th highest graded linebacker. So the linebacking core, pretty solid players. Here's a guy in the secondary, though, Tim. Let me tell you about old Darnell Savage. He's grading out as a 48.0 this year. So not really missing our boy Darnell Savage.
Oh, we're going to give him some.
Wish you all the luck, sir, just not tomorrow, right? And then, of course, their other safety, Andre Cisco, 57.6, playing some pretty bad ball this year.
Who?
You're starting to understand why this team is struggling to stop the pass, man. Their safety play has been absolute cheeks this year. Now, on the corners, you've got Tyson Campbell at a 64.4. You have got Jaden Jones from FSU. I think he's a rookie this year, third-round pick. He is a 68.3 in the slot. Grade looks good, but you guys remember that number we talked about with slot receivers. I'm trying to pull up Jaden Jones real quick and see where I had him on our draft board. Give me just a second. Jaden Jones. He's pretty far down. He was definitely in the bottom half of the draft board.
I was going to say he's definitely not top 50, right?
No,
Yeah.
definitely not. Yeah, he was probably, I'd say probably somewhere around the 110 mark, something like that. Is probably where I had him at. So they might have drafted him a little earlier than my board would have suggested. But nonetheless, he's playing decent at 68.3. So kind of makes you wonder, Tim, are they playing a lot of zone coverage with the fact that they are? Didn't we look at that? They were playing a lot of cover 3.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Jaguars. Go to the bottom. We'll have to take the ticker down. There it is.
You love pointing that out, don't you? No, so they were running a lot of cover 1 man. So cover 1 man and cover 2 zone. I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together here to see why he would have a decent grade, but they were so bad at stopping slot receivers. It could be one of those things where you think that PFF's off the rocker too, you know?
Yeah, could be. He's also a Florida State guy, and they breed defensive backs down there.
Yeah. You got Darnell Darby on the other side. He's 112 years old. He's graded out as a 61.1 currently. Former second-round pick, was drafted in 2015. So not having a great year there. So when you look at the defensive backs, attack these safeties, man. Don't be afraid to go down the field. Yeah. And again, when we looked at that coverage, I hate to keep doing this, but I'm just trying to do everything in real time. Cover 1 man, deep shots down the sideline, right? Play that outside game there as far as those shots go. And then cover 2, look to attack the seam there as well. If you go trips and tray against cover 2, they may switch it up and go to a cover 6 to throw a little box at your 3 wide receiver set there. But going to be interesting to see how they choose to play the Packers tomorrow, man, for sure. Donovan Schilling in the chat. Their linebackers are dogs, man. I'm telling you, they're grading out way better than ours. No two ways about that.
That's a great point. And, Donovan down there in Georgia, he knows something about them dogs. So, hey, I agree with your synopsis there, Clayton. Let's skip over the middle of the field here with these linebackers. Let's attack these corners and these safeties all day.
I would say run a lot of outside zone right and really put pressure on Trayvon Walker with the fact that he is a pass rusher and doesn't play the run very well. At least coming out of college, that was kind of the MO on him. He's just going to be this really, really raw, a lot like Lucas Van Ness, right? Just a guy that's got this crazy amount of just natural ability, talent, God-given talent, if you will. I say run a lot of outside zone and boot left and attack deep, man. That would be my whole thing. Get those linebackers displaced with play action and take them out of their spots of touch. You've seen we did that. We've done it the last 3 weeks really, really well collectively as a unit.
And it's like you said about Hines Allen there. If you got a speed rusher on the edge there, run a little outside zone right at him. Take that right out of the game.
Yep.
Your speed rush means nothing if we're running outside zone to that side.
Yeah. Or you can go split flow opposite side, right? We can go inside zone right, split flow with Walker completely ignoring Allen and helping double down to the right with Elton Jenkins, and then have Kraft sift over to pick up Allen, right? That's another way you can gain a half a hat and take a playmaker out of the running game for sure.
For sure.
All right, so with our offensive weaponry, Jordan Love is now the 19th highest graded quarterback in the league, so he's slowly climbing up. Josh Jacobs is now the 7th highest graded running back in the league at an 81.8. Currently, his running grade's at 83.8. Receiving grade, not bad either, 70, so that's definitely gotten better. There's no two ways about that. When we look at our receivers, leading the way is Jaden Reed. He's the 36th highest graded receiver in the league right now at a 70.8. He's got a receiving grade of 68.8 and a running grade of 74.5. When you look at where he's lining up this year, he is in the slot the large majority of the time. He does have almost 70 snaps on the outside as well. Let's see. Romeo Doubs is your next highest graded player at a 68.4. So you're seeing he's got 296 snaps out wide and 30 in the slot currently. And then, of course, Christian Watson, grading out as the 67th best receiver right now. You guys know he hasn't had as many snaps as we have liked, missing some of that time there. Week 4, obviously, coming back only having those 9 snaps. Last week he finished with 30 snaps. The week before, in week 6, he had, 44 snaps.
Yep.
So heavy load there.
This could be a big game for Scoot tomorrow.
Yeah.
We can run him on those go routes. See if we can stretch the field against that weak secondary.
As far as their snaps, too, out wide 122, in the slot 72, and in line that wing. We see they like to put him at wing and help run block sometimes. He's gotten 7 snaps there, so 64.2. I'm with you, Tim. This might be the week that Christian Watson cranks it up, man. We start throwing the ball down the field to him. And again, what was it? It was not last week, but the week before when Jordan hit him on that deep post, I believe it was, against the Cardinals. Yeah, so that play they drew up in the dirt over there on the sideline. Tucker Kraft, man, PFF hates him. I love him. They got him at a 56.2, but his receiving grade's a 60.5. Again, I think a lot of this has to do with what we were talking about. You can kind of see on tape him blowing assignments from time to time, but he is the yak king in the NFL right now, man. There's no two ways about it. That includes receivers too. Get that guy the ball underneath on a little delay, a little release, a little leak play, hammer it in the flat when you got 2 receivers to that side of the field. If you go like a Trey right or a Trey left, stretch the field, open it up, get him the ball, and let him just run through these little boys. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That might be the answer to those linebackers in the middle. Put Tuck Norris in the mix. See how they handle it.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. I think we got everything. Is there any other players you want me to click on here? Anything else you want to look at as far as the PFF preview from a what am I trying to say? A personnel standpoint, I guess you could say. I could go base real quick and just take a quick look at what changes for them. So Muma comes in, right? Chad Muma, 60.0 is his PFF grade. He seems to be their 3rd linebacker, former 3rd-round pick there. So keep an eye on that. And, of course, for us, man, this is what I like to see, Tim. I have to agree with PFF on Ben Sims, bro. 70.9. When you turn on the tape, he just doesn't do anything bad, man. He really does.
Yeah, he really doesn't. And he's kind of like a Tucker Kraft Jr. almost, you know?
Yep.
Sometimes you watch film and you're like, hey, was that Tucker? Nope, that was Ben Sims making a play. They're kind of similar builds, body types, and you're right. I mean, Ben Sims plays relatively mistake-free football, which is a blessing on a young team.
Yeah, definitely, man. All right, so there is your PFF preview. Got a couple chats we'll hit, and we'll get you guys and gals out of here. Let's see, Coach Lynn in the chat. What's Green Bay's plan to get Watson more involved tomorrow and moving forward? For me, Coach, it's dictated by the defense. When you've seen him get more involved, it's like 3 games ago, he wasn't really involved, right? And then all of a sudden, you started to see them try to bracket cover Jaden Reed on those shallow crosses, those climb routes, things like that. And then what we do, we drew up a play in the dirt on the sideline. Hey, Christian, let's run what we ran 2 games ago. Give me a deep post here, touchdown. Now all of a sudden they go back to covering that, so that should open things up underneath. So the question is, how are the Jaguars going to defend the Packers? You know, if they do go single high cover 1 man, I could see Christian having a shot at a game, because what's going to happen is they've got to make a decision. They being the Jaguars, if they're going to run cover 1 man, even if it's cover 1 hole or cover 1 robber, and you throw that slot cross dagger concept, that combo concept together with a 3 wide receiver set, you have Christian running that go. They've got to make a decision. Is that free safety going to fully commit to Christian on that go route to help out that corner underneath? And you'll tell by the technique they use. Are they using trail technique or the inside or the outside? And if they do that, it's going to be a big game for Jaden Reed underneath. If they go the opposite route, play inside technique, have the safety really kind of buckle down on those deep climbs, look for Christian Watson over the top. So I wish I could sit here and say, let's do this to make it work for Christian. But I think the answer is going to be you answer the question by asking another question. What's the Jaguars going to do? What are they going to choose? What poison are they going to pick? Right, Tim?
Absolutely. And light them up either way. I like Cheesehead Murph in the chat. 9 route and deep post right past Savage.
We've seen that work before. Let me tell you.
Donovan Schilling, Matt LaFleur is going to draw stuff up right to Savage.
I guarantee you, Matt LaFleur's going to, let me tell you about this guy back here playing safety. I think we can exploit it.
Yeah.
Watch him come out and get 3 picks, and we're all going to be pissed off in the post-game show. Wouldn't it be something?
Oh, he'll drop him. He'll drop
He'll
him.
Oh, man. All right, guys, that's it. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Everybody in the chat, you guys were awesome, man. Y'all were a big part of the show tonight. We appreciate it. It's always a lot of fun when y'all get very vocal in here. So also in the upper right, there's a QR code if you want to join our Patreon group. Just scan that QR code to send you to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Got a cool community growing in there. And we're going to be doing giveaways. As a matter of fact, we got a giveaway that came from Bates. We're going to be doing tomorrow. Anyone who is a member of one of the 3 tiers in our Patreon group, okay, or you're a member here on YouTube, what we're going to do is put everybody's name on the pinky wheel, the Larry McCarron pinky wheel, and we're going to be giving away an autographed Romeo Dobbs card, okay? So we've got a card that was donated by there you go, by United Bates. Appreciate you, buddy. And we'll go ahead and give one of those away tomorrow. So, again, just make sure that you're a member of the Patreon group, one of the 3 tiers, or a member here on YouTube, okay? Not a subscriber, but a member. And we'll, as long as you get it in before midnight tonight, we'll make sure it counts for the giveaway tomorrow. Tim, don't let me forget the giveaway tomorrow, all right? Because it never fails. We get 50 minutes into the post-game show, and I go, crap, I haven't done nothing I was supposed to. So
I'm making a note right now.
All right, appreciate you, man. That's it, guys. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. We will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Central Time for the PTA pregame show as we get you ready for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Green Bay Packers. Really excited about watching that game tomorrow. And then immediately following the game, we'll have the post-game show as well. So we'll have all your actives, inactives tomorrow morning and giving you live shots from the stadium, all that good stuff, all the Twitter feedback, all the tailgaters, all that will kind of get you geared up. It's just a good way. Put it on the background while you're grilling up some good food and getting ready for the Packers game. So, Tim, help me out here.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.